Now, there are many Kenyans that come to mind as fit to be heroes, especially on a day like today when Kenya was celebrating its Mashujaa Day. Now, however, for thousands who stayed glued to their television screens during the 2007-2008 post-election violence, one General Service Unit officer stood out. In not so many words, he reminded Kenyans at the height of the violence that Kenya was greater than all of us. Let's look back at the words that not only gripped the headlines then, but reminded Kenyans of the journey the country had taken to get where it was.
It had been days of riot. Lives had been lost, property destroyed in probably one of the darkest moments in Kenyan history. The entire African region held its breath. The beacon of peace was burning, the 2007 post-election violence. And in the midst of it all, General Service Unit Officer Joseph Musyoka joined his colleagues. Their mission was to stop the violence and the bloodshed. And when he got there, he saw his fellow countrymen drowned in a mob psychology that could drown the entire nation. He chose to reason with the group, hoping that what he would say would divert them from the blood-stained route that the country was taking.
Kwa nini tuchukue kazi ya mtu mwingine tunataka kuifanya? Sawa? Na hii Kenya tumeijenga kwa muda mrefu. Kwa nini tunataka kujaribu ni one day? Msitake tupigane. Mimi sitaki vita.
Joseph may have talked to a few of the protesters, but his message was to later reach millions of Kenyans. In those two lines, Musyoka reminded the country of the journey we had taken as a country to get to where we were. Kenya had turned 44 years in 2007, and he reminded his fellow countrymen and women that the journey had been long and hard, and that the joint effort to build the nation of Kenya did not start with this generation. In not so many words, he reminded the protesters that the country had been built on the blood, sweat, and life of our forefathers who paid the ultimate price to end colonization in this African soil. With those very words, he passed a very strong message that irrespective of grievances and concerns, this country was greater than individuals. That future generations would not forgive us if we ban a country that held so much hope and potential. What stood out for the millions of Kenyans who would later watch and hear Joseph on TV that day was that he hesitated to take the clover and crush approach that the GSU are feared for, and instead calmly reasoned with the protesters. It has been 7 years since the 2007 post-election violence, and Joseph, though not so proud of the path that the country took back then, is grateful that the country did not plunge down the precipice.
It has a whole embrace peace to see that kila mwananchi katika nchi yetu ya Kenya anaishi kwa amani, na tukiwa tuko na amani tutapata maendeleo. Maendeleo inaletwa na watu kuwa kwa amani, bila msosano, bila kusema huyu anatoka mahali fulani, huyu anatoka mahali fulani. Kenya ni yetu sisi wote, hakuna mahali tunasema Kenya hakuna mtu ambaye si yake. It is ours. So we need to build this nation from within, not from outside. It is from within.
And so, like millions of Kenyans, he hopes that those words will be engraved in the hearts of every Kenyan. He hopes the 2007 was the last episode of its kind that will ever be witnessed in Kenya. If only so that our heroes, our forefathers, and future generations will smile down at us as Kenya rebuilds and strengthens its social fabric. Linda Ogutu, KTN.